Hey, what's up everyone? Mel from Fortin here, and in this video, I'm going through how I dialed in last video with the NATAS and the orange tiny terror. Let's jump into it. All right, so for this video, I'm trying out something new. I am reamping the tone for my EC1000 with Seymour Duncan pickups going into the NATAS, then into the orange tiny terror, into my Mesa 412, mic'd up by an SM57, and then going into my Apollo. With everything at 12 o'clock, the signal sounds like this. So right off the bat, the tone sounds super driven, tons of gain on both ends. The 12 o'clock gain on the orange tiny terror and the 12 o'clock gain and volume on the NATAS feel a little overbearing, and the tone sounds a bit muddy just from the start. But overall, I think it's a good place to start. Usually with the NATAS, I like to figure out the tone shift position. So let's toggle that back and forth. Position up sounds like this. Position down sounds like this. I think in this application right off the bat, it sounds pretty good in the down position just because there's less frequencies to deal with. But let me play around with the knobs a bit more. Like I said earlier in my first reaction, it sounds like there's a lot of gain coming in. So I'm going to lower the volume and the gain on every end minus the power amp on the amp. Sounds pretty solid there, but sounds a little telephony. Let me hear the down position. Just checking out a bit, I feel like I need to raise the gain on the amp just a tad, just to give it that solid breakup. And now I feel like the body's come back. Let's check the tone shift again just to see how it sounds. And in this case, on the down position, I think it sounds a bit better right now. Now, let's see what it sounds like when I raise the treble. So as you can tell, there's a really precise point where the treble sounds a bit nasally and a really bright. So I'm going to shift it right before it breaks up there. That sounds solid to me. Now let's check out the mids and let's try to push that position up. I'm checking the tone shift again just to see if that changes how the mids respond. And as you can tell, scooping it gives a weird nasally sound. So I'm going to push those mids back up to give it that bite and that pick attack. And right now, after I've pushed the mids up a little bit beyond 12 o'clock, I'm liking the tone shift in the up position. I feel like it gives it a nice amp breakup. Now I'm going to move on to the bass parameter of the pedal. I toggled the tone shift back and forth, but right now I landed with the bass position at about 3 o'clock. I think it sounds solid. It fills out the tone quite nicely. And since we already messed with the gain and volume, I'm going to move on to the girth knob. It sounds pretty thick, but I feel like I should counteract that with a little bit of the grind knob just to give it that articulation we're looking for, that signature Fortin sound. And now it feels a bit muddy again, so I'm going to pull back just the low end, just a tad here. And now I'm going to check the tone knob here. It's always a balancing act, and it's hard because I'm going in order of pedal to amp just so we can keep a good solid video going. So right now I just turned up the volume and then I just cranked the tone knob and it feels like I opened up the amp a lot. So after playing around a bit, I landed on the tone shift down actually and cranking this bass knob. I felt like it opened up the amp, and then switching back, I actually cranked the tone knob a bit up. I feel like I can remove a bit of the brighter frequencies, but right now I'm really digging the tone knob down this time around. It's a bit of a bigger, meatier sound, and now I feel like I can throw up that girth knob a bit. A little too much and it gets a bit too gritty, a bit too muddy. And then right now I added a bit of tone and threw the gain back at 12 o'clock just to see what that extra touch of drive sounds like. It's really hard because I'm really trying to play with that even amount of pick attack and get a good amount of chug going on. So with all that being said, I'm really stoked on this. It's not exactly the tone from last video, but it uses a lot of the same parameters and concepts. With the treble, I landed at about 3 o'clock because I felt like it pushed that pick attack a solid bit. For the mids, I landed at about beyond 12 o'clock, a little bit about 1, because I felt like it gave me that nice scrape. For the bottom end, since it's an Orange Tiny Terror, just a 15-watt amp, I really wanted to compensate and add a lot of low end and beefing up the signal. And I felt like the low end here on the bass knob at 3 o'clock did just that. With the gain, I have it at a little touch of 3 just because I'm stacking into the Orange Tiny Terror's gain. And with the volume, I had it at about 12. And just so you know that the NATAS is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, I'm going to show you what it sounds like with the NATAS off. You can see that the amp brightens up a ton. A lot of the clarity and articulation comes in when the NATAS slams the signal into the Orange Tiny Terror. Now I have the gain on the Orange Tiny Terror at about 6, or in this case at 1 o'clock, just beyond 12, giving it a little extra drive. And the tone, I've noticed, like I said in previous videos, the tone feels like a roll-off. So I have it at about 1 o'clock, rolling off those harsh frequencies, but just enough to hear that scrape of the pick and to give me that note articulation I'm looking for. And I keep the volume at about 12 to 6 because I feel like the amp loses or breaks up too much beyond that point, especially with all the drive and the signal that I'm pushing through it. So I'm keeping that at about 12. The 7-watt position really feels thin, so I've always pushed for the 15. And you can really hear those parameters change like that. There you have it. That's the tone I got with the Orange Tiny Terror, and this is what it sounds like with the NATAS and the Orange Tiny Terror stacked into each other. And if you want to check out the tone from this exact dial-in session, here's what it sounds like. There you have it. I hope you dug this video and this format of me dialing in the NATAS with the Orange Tiny Terror. I really had a lot of fun, and I felt like doing it this way helped me focus a lot more on the sound rather than the playing. And I felt like it really gave me the opportunity to hone in on what the pedal is really doing to the amp. So if you dug the tone from this video, please hit that thumbs up button, ring the bell for notifications, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know in the comment sections below what amps you want me to try out with the NATAS or any of the Fortin gear up next. Again, I'm Mel from Fortin Amps. Thanks for having me, and I'll catch you on the next one.